expert about the rising student suicide alarm in the entire country on the back of 3 such cases coming to light. Later on the show, also stay tuned for a Plain Speak podcast peek with author Deep Haldar on everything that is going wrong in Bangladesh and more. Now, by the literal definition, a dead language usually refers to one that's no longer in active communication anymore. Does this epithet suit Sanskrit? In fact, Sanskrit is widely used in Hindu and Buddhist religions, rituals, hymns, chants, mantras across India and beyond. Its continued use in these integral cultural practices keeps it a living part of everyday life. While not a primary vernacular for many, thousands of people in India still report Sanskrit as their mother tongue, and this number actually has been steadily rising. There are also several villages, for example, Matur and Hosatli in Karnataka or Jiri in Madhya Pradesh, where residents use Sanskrit for daily communication as a result of revival efforts. Sanskrit is an official language recognized by the Indian Constitution and is taught as a second language or optional subject in hundreds of universities and schools globally, with around 1 lakh teachers in India alone. Furthermore, even till date, new literature in Sanskrit continues to be produced and published, including a daily newspaper, Sudama, in Mysuru since 1970. According to the 2011 census, Sanskrit has witnessed the highest percentage increase in speakers since 2001. And according to the 2011 census, almost 76% rise in Sanskrit speakers, while Hindi and Gujarati witnessed 25 to 20% increase in speakers respectively. Bengali, Assamese, Marathi, Kannada, Punjabi and Oriya all have witnessed between 14 to 17% increase in speakers. In fact, Tamil has noted almost 14% increase in speakers over a decade. If you look at this figure, Urdu has actually seen a decline. Would that mean then that money should not be spent on Urdu language anymore if that is just the justification? More than 2,500 crore rupees have been allocated for funding Sanskrit between 2014 and 2015 till 2024 to 2025. And this seems to be the major pain point that the DMK has espoused. Funding for Sanskrit is channeled through 3 central Sanskrit universities and the Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan. Meanwhile, 113 crores have been allocated under the Grants for Promotion of Indian Languages scheme towards Tamil for the same period of time. But here is what the government says as far as this funding disparity is concerned. The government promotes Sanskrit through 3 central Sanskrit universities established by the Central Sanskrit Universities Act 2020. In contrast, Tamil is promoted through the Central Institute of Classical Tamil, which receives a smaller allocation. Some point to the existence of multiple universities for Sanskrit versus a single institution for Tamil as a reason that there could be a funding gap. The government has also stated in Parliament that funds are allocated based on requirement and utilization. It's not really on a language by language basis. The government also has emphasized its commitment to promoting all Indian languages through policies like the NEP 2020, which do promote multilingualism and particularly a focus on mother tongue in India. So this Sanskrit insult after a Sanatan Dharma insult by the same politician in Tamil Nadu, is this just pointing to a disdain, an inherent disdain garbed as liberalism, secularism for what is India's true heritage?
ஒதுக்குன நிதி எவ்வளவு தெரியுமா? தமிழ் வளர்ச்சிக்கு வெறும் 150 கோடி ரூபாய். ஆனால் செத்த மொழி சமஸ்கிருதத்துக்கு ஒன்றிய அரசு கடந்த 10 ஆண்டுகள்ல ஒதுக்குன நிதி எவ்வளவு தெரியுமா? 2400 கோடி ரூபாய்.
We can salute and we can pray and we can laud our own language. But even the mother Tamil won't allow degrading the other languages.
I I want to go across to our guest joining us, Kalyan Raman, spokesperson of the BJP with us, Pulla Rao, political analyst from Tamil Nadu, Sumantri Raman, political analyst from the state, and Rahul Ishwar, activist, is also joining us. Pulla Rao, I want to broad base this discussion. I don't really want to make this only about the fact that, this is Sanskrit versus Tamil. Both are Indian languages, both are our country's pride. But why is it okay to deride Sanskrit as a dead language and, even garb it as some sort of a liberal issue in India versus quote-unquote right-wing, because I'm guessing that is the positioning, or a secular issue in India? Isn't Sanskrit to be celebrated by all, even if it's spoken by lesser number of people today?
Let's first come to your point. It should be celebrated, but that's all the government is doing. The government has not done anything for its propagation. Hundreds of crores are being spent. It would be well worthwhile to see what they are doing. What kind of universities are they running? Thousands of crores.
Yes.
And that itself shows the government has failed. When the government is spending so much money, there should be something. You have quoted one village here, one village there. Is this the progress they did in the last 10 years, 12 years to revive Sanskrit?
No, so I will tell you, no, 1 second. You're selectively quoting what I said. I also quoted numbers from census, where Sanskrit has reported over 75% increase in its speakers over the last two censuses.
Shivani, what's the base of 75%?
So that's exactly what I'm saying. If your argument is that the base is small, if your argument is that the base is small, so even 75%, 76% doesn't mean anything, that's a separate argument.
My argument is somebody spending so much money should have thrown something more for it. Number one. Number two, yes, Tamil is the oldest language in India, I believe. My friends may say Sanskrit is equally old or whatever, the classical language, but they've really not done anything about it. The Chinese use Chinese language for everything. So therefore, yes, the Prime Minister has said he loves Tamil. What has he done about it? That's what they question. On the third point, I'd say, I just saw the former governor of Tamil Nadu, Tamil side, talk about Sanatan and all that, how bad it is. The Supreme Court chided her, criticized her, and she had to run away from her governorship. So will I say that she is anti-constitution? Do what? She expressed her views, she failed there. And the Supreme Court, the correct word is Supreme Court passed strictures about her performance as governor of Tamil Nadu. So I am not here saying that she's anti-constitution or she should be treated as someone who spoiled the constitution. There is freedom of speech. I don't agree with anybody what they say.
Okay.
They go too far.
So there is a little bit of...
Let us enjoy it.
Okay. No, I take your point, but there is a little bit of conundrum in what you're saying, because you're saying what has government done? They should be judged on whether the funding that has gone to Sanskrit has actually helped Sanskrit or not. I can give you the numbers I have. If you feel that that is not enough increase, then that's a separate case altogether. But even in actual terms, I will get you the figure of what people are saying now. So in actual terms, and we can only count mother tongue, right? I'm only giving the reference of mother tongue, not as somebody who may know Sanskrit but doesn't recognize it as mother tongue, may speak it as a second or third language. But in 1971, there were about 2,200 odd people who spoke Sanskrit. In the or identified it as the mother tongue. I beg your pardon. In 2011, that rose to over 24,000. So it's not as if efforts have not yielded some result to speak of. But this is a classification of Sanskrit as the mother tongue.
Small point.
Yes.
My friends are waiting. One small point. It's thousands. They spent thousands of crores. Now I can tell you, government can save all this money. You have got artificial intelligence. And all these hundreds of translators who are running around, you go dig a little deeper. There may be a scam there. They're being paid for translating. Dig a little deeper.
Sorry?
I know what they're doing in this Sanskrit university. They can use a better... Let them develop a Hindi university.
Okay,
let them spend it on a Hindi university. I welcome it.
1 second. My only issue is that Udayanidhi Stalin is not criticizing that the efforts of the government are not enough or not yielding enough results. What he is doing is actually deriding Sanskrit as a dead language. Kalyan Raman, you please come in here, because BJP has raised objections to what Udayanidhi Stalin has said.
See, the first and foremost fact is that the first family of Tamil Nadu is full of Sanskrit names, starting from Karunanidhi, Udayanidhi, Inbanidhi, Dayanidhi, Kalanidhi, and so on and so forth. So, These people are too ill-informed. The person, Udayanidhi, is a low IQ person who does not understand what is what about languages. He is not a language expert to begin with. And the main factor as to why such controversies are being promoted by Udayanidhi is based on some suggestion by some strategist that when they fail in situations like SIR, on metro issue, on the governor issue, when they take a slap from the Supreme Court, this is what they try to do by diverting the attention of the common man by raising issues which are unwarranted for the society. If we really have to talk about it, he has to sit on a debate and talk to people who know the subject in place. Is Udayanidhi aware that the Sanskrit is taught in 14 German universities? Is he aware it is there in 4 universities of England? Is he aware it is taught in over 20 universities in USA? Is he aware it is taught in 8 universities in Italy? How dare he says that it is a dead language? It is not that he wants to say that it is dead language. He just wants to divert the attention that they had a huge slap on their face in the governor issue by the Supreme Court when the Honorable President had sought a reference on 14 questions, in which it was it was clearly stated that the Supreme Court cannot intervene there in the matters of governor or president for that matter. So, having received such a huge slap, now they have to find a shelter under some issue.
But what do you make of the criticism that there is inordinate amount of funds that go to Sanskrit, despite the fact that it may be an ancient language, it may be the language of our texts, of our mantras, of our chants and everything, but not many people speak day to day Sanskrit.
Can't we counter it with a simple argument that whenever something is seemingly endangered, whether it is a species or an animal or a language or anything which is part of an Indian ecosystem, it has to be revived. It's a simple logic. Let me give a very clear example. We all talk about Tirukural, which is one of the best treatises on social life. Okay. In that itself, there is one word from Sanskritam. That is, he talks about karma. Perumaikum yenai sirumaikum tam tam karmame kattalaikal. Here, the Valluvan, the most wisest of all in Tamil language, talks about Sanskritam, talks in Sanskritam. And Karnanidhi is nothing but Sanskritam. If I have to translate it, I have to call him as Anbu Chelvan, something like that. So, see, they just want to make an issue because they don't have any other issue to talk about it. The government is fumbling. The law and order situation in Tamil Nadu is the worst of all the states in the country. So they want to run for a cover under something or the other. They have some strategists, political strategists, who suggest them that you please raise this issue so that people will jump on you.
You keep the binary of South versus North. You keep the binary of Tamil anti everything else, Tamil versus Hindi, Tamil versus North, all of this going. So, Mansi Raman, do you see shades of this here, given that the political climate and the landscape in Tamil Nadu is changing, which is why the likes of the Stalin family continue to harp on these issues versus the issues that they should be addressing ahead of elections?
There are two issues here, Shivadi. One of them, of course, is the fact that for the DMK, a lot of this is core ideology-related stuff. So their entire, theory has been to create the sense of othering. So therefore, they need an enemy. Sort of, in some ways, like the BJP needs an enemy or somebody to sort of target, they also need an enemy. So the enemy is for them, has traditionally been the Brahmins, it's been the people who from other states, it's been the quote-unquote Hindi language,
Hindi,
a
Hindu,
whole
Brahmin,
lot.
Yes.
So their core ideology is around that. At least the parent organization, the DK, from which the DMK came, has this as its core ideology. Therefore, they keep going back to it whenever they want to divert attention, whenever the pressure is on them. So when they face anti-incumbency, they will go back to this. When they face a tough situation because of a court verdict, they will go back to this. This eradication of Sanatana Dharma and anti-Hindi all of this is basically their modus operandi. And in this case also, there is no logical reason at all. Let's look at it very objectively. Individual state governments have budgets for their regional
Languages,
Tamil
yes.
Nadu government allots a budget. Sanskrit is, except for 3 states where it is technically an official language, but again, not in widespread usage. I think it's one of the official languages in Uttarakhand and a couple of other states. But let's leave that for the moment. The point really is that this government of India has to fund the Sanskrit universities. They've got to fund. So if you take 2,200 crore or whatever has been spent on Sanskrit, bulk of it would have gone into funding these universities.
Yes.
Now, the individual state governments then need to say that they are funding Tamil universities besides the central Tamil university, for which that 130, 120 crore or whatever is funded. These state governments fund. The Karnataka government funds universities in Kannada.
No,
The
so-
Andhra Pradesh government funds Telugu universities. So my point is, you cannot equate Sanskrit with the regional language for the simple reason is that Sanskrit is not getting any funding from the
Any
state.
state
Therefore,
government.
the center has to do something.
No, and
So
even if
yeah.
let's say there were 1 or 2 states, as you mentioned, who may work for Sanskrit revival, the central government still has a responsibility towards Sanskrit as a language. You cannot,
DMK 's
you cannot
problem.
begrudge that the central
DMK
government has a responsibility to a language which is one of the most ancient languages anywhere in the world
DMK's
and born in
problem-
India.
The DMK's problem is that it is part of the Hindu identity of India.
So
which is
I don't
something that they are
understand.
not
How can you
comfortable
have
with.
that problem in modern day politics, Sumant?
No, they do. They do. See, before elections. So now they've all become Hindus and they will continue to be till at least till May. Right? And they keep making this claim. Last time Mr. Stalin said 80% of the party is Hindus and so on. But those are to be used only during elections. So before the election, the party, becomes pro-Hindu. They become supportive of Hindu causes. And after the elections are over, they will again go back to their true colors.
No, but you mentioned an important point. State governments, particularly in India, because states are born out of linguistic identities, state governments are free to promote their own regional language. And can I mention?
And they do.
I'll mention Tamil Nadu government has allocated 133 crore for translating of Thirukural, 70 crore for archaeological excavations, including 40 crore for gallery at Egmore Museum, 10 crore for translating masterpieces, 10 crore for Tamil heritage overseas, 2 crore for publishing technical textbooks, 2 crore for Tamil book fairs overseas, and 1 crore for Tamil World Tamil Olympiad. So Rahul Ishwar, I don't understand what's the problem. It's your job to promote Tamil, right? Because Tamil is the official language of the state. The center still has to do its job for Sanskrit. So do you see this as a problem which I think is infesting liberal, quote-unquote progressive secular politics, not just in India but globally, where on one hand they will say, oh, native culture needs to be preserved. On the other hand, in the name of secularism, fighting, patriarchy or whatnot, they will derive what is native to this land instead of saying, no, we must come together to preserve it.
Shivani ji, September 10, 1949, Father of Constitution, B.R. Ambedkar moved an amendment which says Sanskrit should be the official language of India. So, Father of the Constitution, Ambedkar ji, the greatest Dalit icon we have, the greatest constitutionalist we had, supported Sanskrit as the official language and support Sanskrit as the national language of India. See, Sanskrit is rightly holding the soul of Hindu culture and many of the Indian aspects. And let us not be shy about it. Second, there is not even a doubt, iota of doubt, that Tamil is older than Sanskrit. A person no less than Modi ji went on record to say, not twice or thrice, but more than 4 times, that Tamil is older than Sanskrit. And he explicitly said this to the next generation. And now let us be politically honest. What is the core debate about? Sanskrit is the language or language more closely associated with the Brahmin and forward caste communities. Tamil is the ancient Dravidian language, or which is older than Sanskrit. So there is always a political strand of debate between two. But Swami Vivekananda says it's brilliant. If Sanskrit is the father, Tamil is the mother of Indian civilization. We need both father and mother. I'm a person who belongs to South India and I belong to Malayalam. And Malayalam is a mix of both Tamil and Sanskrit, and that is the entire essence of India. So there is a caste, religion, community clash in between this, and that is friend-ended, piggybacked by this Sanskrit versus Tamil. What we need is we should celebrate Sanskrit, we should celebrate Tamil in a great way, and none less than the Prime Minister Vivekananda categorically said this. Our Modi ji said this, that Tamil is the oldest language. Tamil is older than Sanskrit.
What does it have to do with Tamil being the oldest language? I'm not understanding. This is then, language chauvinism again. Whether oldest or not is irrelevant to this debate. I'm sorry to say this.
Shivani ji, it is.
Because then you're making about a competition between two languages born out of India and equally important to India.
It needs to be collaboration and cooperation. The reason why Tamil people is telling this is that there is a sense of Tamil pride, and the entire Congress and the national parties lost out to Tamil Nadu because of the anti-Hindi agitation. See, there is a cultural context, but I am a person who says, or the majority of Indians says, both Sanskrit and Tamil should be celebrated, and there should not be a dichotomy. The issue with DMK is they politicize these issues in a big way. When the election comes.
No, so in this case, he's not saying, he's kind of garbing it under the whole issue of how much funds are given to Sanskrit. But in that, he has ended up maybe revealing his bias by calling Sanskrit a dead language. If
please remember
millions
the
of
right
people, and not
attitude
just
Modi ji.
no, one second, not just thousands, millions of people, millions of people. Sorry, Rahul, millions of people, not just in India, but across the world, and it could well be a billion if you count all Indians across the world, continue to chant mantras that are still today in Sanskrit. So, on what basis do you call it a dead language?
And not only that, Sanskrit is the mother of the ancient most Indo-European language, including the entire Indo-European, what is called PIE or Proto-Indo-European language. Sanskrit is the most Asian language. So we should celebrate that culture and treasure. We should understand the sentiments, and there should be a synergy. Unfortunately, DMK plays politics. And just let me last line. Modi ji's attitude is right. Modi ji says, it is my great sadness I cannot learn Tamil. And he quoted Tamil when he went to UN. So we need to synergize Sanskrit and Tamil and not make a fight over it like the DMK people are doing.
Okay. Pulla Rao, do you think, this is just passe politics? In 2025, young politicians like Udyanidhi Stalin shouldn't be mired in politics of this kind. I understand this is DMK ideology and core ideology. But, if you continue to harp only on this, as we are seeing in the rest of the world and in India, the youngsters are going to leave you behind. This is young politicians of the DMK talking like this.
Oh, I don't think so. You see, most of the politics is on culture. What is going on in USA, for example? Donald Trump, for example, didn't win because of his economic policy. Basically, culture. So don't underestimate this. I'm not saying you should do this or you should do that. Udayanithi Stalin is smart enough to defend himself. And my friend Kalyan Ramanji, a successful politician, always has more IQ than most of us. Maybe less emotional intelligence, whatever it is. But, culture is very important. I would say that, I heard what Mr. Ishwar said. It was good. But if you have gone that step further and said that, raise Tamil, raise other South Indian languages also. That's not being done. And, when such a grievance is brought forward by a Dravidian party, it should be addressed.
What is the grievance? Sir, what is the grievance here?
His grievance is simple. You're not I didn't give a speech to him, but he says Tamil is not being promoted adequately. Sanskrit is being promoted, though it is not being in use as much. I don't want to use the word dead, because no language is dead.
But I think both our BJP representative and Sumant Raman talked about why that may be the case. Just a, absolute figure number disparity in the funding that comes from center. I explained this at the start. It happens via 3 universities and a central body.
I heard that.
And Tamil Nadu government is celebrating Tamil or is advancing Tamil cause in its own.
Yes, so one thing is, I entirely agree with what Mr. Ishwar said. Prime Minister said, I wish I learned Tamil. Well, I would even go further. He should have learnt a little bit. He had 4 years' time since the last election. It should have gone well. Tamilians love their language. I may be a little people, they love it more than most other people love their languages because that's
Okay,
their kind
so
of
is this
emphasis.
about love of
They
your
give-
language? As the BJP says, Mr. Raman, this is because when love for your own language, love for your own, in a diverse, multicultural, multilinguistic country like India becomes antagonistic to others, I think then it becomes a problem. Love for your own is not a problem.
This is not about DMK is never about love for anything. It is about hate for others. So the party's ideology itself is largely devolved on hate. A lot like, I keep saying, the BJP and the DMK are two sides of the same coin. They can be brothers in arms, actually. It's just that their targets are different. But
different
fundamentally,
constituencies.
it's a
Okay.
party which believes in othering.
Othering.
Exactly. So they're two sides of the same coin.
Yes,
It's
and their
they
whole
hate different
Brahmin,
sets of
their
people.
whole
ideas.
Brahmin focused politics has also been criticized as extreme othering of a minority amongst the community. But I was also addressing Kalyan Raman here. I forgot I have two Ramans on the show today. But yes, Kalyan Raman.
Yeah, see, first of all, we have to understand the irony that 80% of the Karunanidhi family cannot read and write in Tamil. It's a matter of fact. Particularly Karunanidhi, Dayanidhi Maran family, now latest Inbanidhi and co. These people cannot even write and they can only speak, they cannot read and write. This is a matter of reality. 80% of the Karunanidhi family. The irony being that we promoting Tamil as DMK is something laughable. So it is not about the Tamil or promotion or so promoting some other language like Sanskrit and all. For Sanskritam, there is no single physical entity or a geographical entity in the form of a state that is promoting. For Telugu, there is Andhra and Telangana. For Tamil, it is Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Malayalam, and so on and so forth. But not for Tamil, which is one of the oldest, Sanskrit, one of the oldest languages of the world. That is, we say that they are born brother, sister, or whatever, father, mother, whatever you call it as. End of the day, for promoting Sanskrit, which is the oldest language, we must have a mechanism for which there may be some funding happening, which is part of the game. So there is no question about it.
If you want more funding, then please ask for it. The problem is that you can also do it this way. You can say, listen, happy that you're spending so much on Sanskrit, but we
as a government,
more.
we are sitting on 4.5 lakh crores of funding in Tamil Nadu as part of our budget. A good amount of money is already spent on Tamil promotion by the state government, not by the central government. In the absence of any state government spending exclusively for Sanskrit, it becomes the duty of the central government.
No, I am saying, let's say you want more.
There is no great question about it.
Let's say you want more from the central government, you could always pitch for it. Why do you have to attack another language and call it a dead language?
Always ask for it.
Okay, Rahul Ishwar, final 30 seconds.
The problem is,
my larger point
Just
is
one final submission.
my larger point is that all of this is garbed under so-called liberal secular politics, but the world is moving on, and I don't think the young fall for this anymore because they can see very well what's happening everywhere else.
Young will love the culture, but they don't like culture wars. They will love their roots, but they won't like us fighting in the name of roots. See, I'm a Hindu right activist, and I would like to, also submit to Kalyan Ramanji. The position is crystal clear from Narendra Modi ji that Tamil is oldest, so there is no debate. So we need to synergize between Tamil and Sanskrit, and both needs to be celebrated. And Sanskrit is one of the greatest languages in the world. There is no doubt. So we should celebrate, and please remember, it is the core of Hindu Dharma, and we should celebrate. The majority of India is Hindu community,
and you cannot divorce the comments that Udyanidhi Stalin has made about Sanskrit being a dead language to his previous comments about eradicating Sanatan Dharma.
Right.
And that is where the entire ideology comes together. I do thank our guests for joining us. Now, over the past few weeks, India has been witness to a deeply troubling trend, a sharp and sustained rise in student suicides. A 9-year-old student in Jaipur, a 10-year-old boy in the national capital, and a 17-year-old student from Rewa, Madhya Pradesh. Innocent children with bright futures who decided to end their own lives over allegations of harassment, bullying, humiliation, neglect to these complaints in school. While we have witnessed cases in the past The burden has been of purely academic nature, but these cases highlight a rather systemic failure, especially at schools. So a 16-year-old class 10 student died by suicide in Delhi, a 9-year-old studying in class 4 in Jaipur, and a 17-year-old class 11 student in Madhya Pradesh. In Delhi, the student jumped in front of a metro. The class 4 student in Jaipur ended her life by jumping from the 4th floor of a school building, and the student from Rewa took her life, leaving behind a note at her residence. The Delhi student blamed harassment and humiliation by teachers. The student from Jaipur alleged bullying and verbal abuse of by her classmates, but something that was not clearly being dealt with. And her family alleges that she complained to teachers, but those cries fell on deaf ears. The student from Rewa alleged torture by a male teacher. On the investigation front, Delhi police has filed an FIR and ordered a high-level probe. In Jaipur, CBSE ordered an inquiry and it brought to fore lapses by the school. Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, all angles are being probed, but the family is demanding a high-level inquiry. Now, in 2013, India recorded 8,423 student suicides, but a decade later, in 2023, that number rose to nearly 14,000, reflecting an alarming upward trend of 65%. Between 2019 and 2023 alone, the increase was 34%, indicating that the crisis has accelerated in recent years. In fact, students form 8.1% of the total suicide deaths in 2023, a significant rise from 6.2% in 2013. So, as this alarm is ringing all across the country, especially vis-a-vis what schools are doing right and wrong, parents are out on the streets and they're worried. Where are schools going wrong? That coming up with our guest. Rita Kapoor, founder director of Gyanshri School, is joining us. Rita Kapoor, first your sense of all of these cases that have come to light. In most of those cases, there is either harassment, neglect, practices employed by teachers, which I don't think the education system condones anymore. Your thoughts of these cases that have come to light first. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, a little louder, please.
I'm saying your thoughts firstly on these three cases that have come to light, raising alarm bells and concerns of what's happening inside schools.
Oh yes, Shivani, I think it's the most tragic thing that can happen to a parent, to a teacher, to a school and society at large. And most importantly, a loss of precious life. And the reaction is always shock, grief and outrage. These are the things that happen. And after that, what happens is a blame game that starts. And that part is the most shocking for me. As school teachers, as a mother, as a parent, as a teacher, as an administrator, I think we should create an environment where such things do not happen. That's the only thing we have to do. It's such incidents are a kind of wake-up call. But what is a wake-up call after the damage is done? I'm really, really shocked. I mean, it's very difficult to digest such a news.
So in most of these cases, what is coming to light is that either the kids were being not dealt with properly. I don't know whether I can use the word harassment, but certainly the allegation is that they were either being harassed by teachers themselves, or teachers were not paying due attention to harassment that they may be facing by other students. Is there something the schools are not doing right in this regard? Because so many such cases cannot happen unless it's a systemic problem.
You very rightly said it's a systemic problem, definitely. I mean, there's not one person who is responsible for this, neither the child, nor the teacher, nor the school, nor the parents. It's a collective tragedy. And when we talk about such things happening, why do such things happen? Definitely something has happened which triggered such a thing. And something very, very sad or shocking happened which really pushed the child to do such a thing. And in this case, we are all collectively to be blamed. And I think whether it's a teacher or a school, we have to pull up our socks. At the parents' end, definitely they have to see what is to be done to the child. And
no, one second, ma'am. One second, ma'am. Parents today, one second, ma'am. We spoke to many parents today. They are saying routinely when our kids come and say, oh, the teacher said this, the teacher did this, we side with the teachers, right? That is the response of most parents because they know their kids can be problematic and troublemakers in classrooms. So they side with teachers to say, no, listen to your teacher. But teachers can't go to the extent where, for example, in this case, in the Delhi school, the kid expressed suicidal thoughts. How was that not a red flag for the teachers or the counselors?
It is a red flag. In fact, it's a warning. It's a deep sign of warning that something is amiss and something has to be immediately done. I'm sure I take this as a lapse at the part of the school. If the teacher has been informed twice by the child and the teacher has not taken the signal, it's a very sad story. It's really sad. The teachers are parents in school and they have to feel the pulse of the child. And whether it's 40 kids to a class or 30 kids to a class, I'm sure the teachers can sense what's wrong and where is wrong.
Yeah.
And for this, I feel a very good environment, open, flexible environment, good communication, good relationship between the student and the teacher is very important. And relationship can be established if there is a communication, if the teacher and the students know each other very well, where the child feels that he can depend on the teacher and talk his heart out, and the teacher is always there to hold finger. So that atmosphere has to be created, and sometimes, Shivani, in the humdrum of things, these things are lost.
Ma'am, the other concern that is coming to light via parents, and I think all parents will feel this concern, is that when something like this happens, there is a tendency, even in educational institutions, to try and cover up what happened. These are the allegations being made by the bereaved parents in all of these cases that we're talking about today. In fact, in Jaipur, when those CCTV footages came out of that young girl jumping from the 4th floor to take her life, I can't even imagine what compels a young child to do so, but clearly something grave happened. After that happened, there is an allegation that the school authorities tried to clean up the blood from what was a suicide spot or effectively a crime scene. So do you think schools are not taking this seriously? Do you think the government must do something, or can the educationists come together to pull up their own socks? What needs to be done here?
I think we all stakeholders have to come together and have a look at it. It's a school, obviously, not obviously, I mean they should not, but such a thing happens, it's very bad, it's very shocking for the school as well. But what I feel is, at this point, when such a thing happens, 5-year-old child or a 10-year-old child doing something what they have done is a signal for the parents also, for all stakeholders. They can also sense that there is something wrong. When a child comes home and talks about, if a child has shared something with the teacher, I'm sure they must have shared with the parents also.
Yes, they did. So in many of these cases, they did. And the problem is that parents feel...
No, if they did and...
The problem is that the parents feel that, they don't know exactly what transpired in the classroom. They have a tendency to side with the teachers to feel that maybe हमारे बच्चे ने कुछ गलत किया होगा तभी टीचर ने reprimand किया है या discipline करने की कोशिश करी है. I think parents have that tendency. After these cases, parents will not have the same faith in the teachers. That's the problem here.
I agree with you. I agree with you. There are some parents who are very strict at home, and they want the same kind of strictness to be taken to be followed by the teacher as well. There are all kinds of parents, Shivani. It's not only this kind of parents who would come and support the teacher. Okay, you be tough with my child. But there are parents who are who pamper their children to the extent that the children are least resilience, and they are not flexible, because they get so much at home that the word is a command for the parents out of love or affection, or the affluence in the family, there are servants around and the child speaks and the things are done. But when they come to school, things are different. They are one of many children in the classroom. So that's another thing where we need to we need to look at the skills of the children also. They should not be lonely. They should be communicative. Parents must at home also keep communicating with the parents, with the children. And in the classroom also, the teacher has to, communication is very important, because communication gives broad signals, whether in the school or at home.
Yes.
Time has come because of lot of other things, because of,
in these cases, I think now attention is whether there's going to be justice meted out, because if teachers were indeed negligent or responsible for ignoring harassment or piling on the harassment, and they weren't able to quote-unquote discipline the child in the right manner or give them the tools to understand the situation, then there has to be clear punishments meted out, because I don't think any scapegoating would be very favorable here for the bond that student teachers or parents and teachers share. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. And in this week's Plain Speak podcast, we bring to you a conversation with one of the authors of the new book, Inshallah Bangladesh, the story of an unfinished revolution. Amidst heightened attention on the country, given 2024 uprising and the recent sentencing of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Deep Haldar shares why this book came about because of his guilt, why there is anti-India hatred today in Bangladesh, and why secularism remains an unfinished project in the country. Here's a sneak peek. So, you know, this book really delves into what Bangladesh has become. The story of an unfinished revolution. The unfinished revolution that you're talking about here is the making or the imagining of Bangladesh as a secular country. That, you know, the path was laid down in 1971. But you're calling it an unfinished, quote-unquote, revolution.
Yes.
Why?
So the reason why we call it an unfinished revolution, of course, has to do with the timing of the book, because the July-August, what they are calling a revolution, which Sheikh Hasina told us is a terror attack on our country. So it's a play on that. But what we are really talking about, and the book goes back into the past, not just into the events of last 1 year, is that 1971 is an unfinished project. You know, there's another book, I don't want to plug anybody else's book, but let me, called Bujib's Blunders by Manoj Ghosh. He's a very senior journalist, really knows Bangladesh, okay? And he has written a book, it came out earlier this year. People should read the book. Those of us who are interested in Bangladesh, after reading Inshallah Bangladesh, should pick it up. It's called Mujib's Blunders. It basically speaks about what are the flaws in Sheikh Mujib. You know, the tallest figure in Bangladesh till August last year, till August 2024, when his statues were brought down and all kinds of things are still being said about him. So I think secularism did not really take shape properly in Bangladesh. It was always a project in the making. Okay, and of course there were sort of points in time when things were better for minorities, not just for the Hindu minorities, for Ahmadiyyas, for Christians, for those for Sufis, you know, who do not follow a very rigid strain of Islam. There were times in Bangladesh's political history where things were better for these sets of people. But it was never quite okay, even during Sheikh Hasina's time, which is why I wrote the book, Being Hindu in Bangladesh. It came out when Hasina was very much in power.
Yes.
So there was a 2021 incident where there were attacks against Hindus across Bangladesh. We didn't talk about it too much here because Prime Minister Modi, Sheikh Hasina were strategic allies. And India and Bangladesh strategically were very well off. But in civil society, you know, when I used to travel inside Bangladesh, I saw there is this conscious othering of Hindus and even Muslims. You know, Shahidul, I remember, I used to stay in Shahidul's house very often when I used to go there. And Shahidul, I remember, said that no matter what flaws the current government, which then was the Sheikh Hasina government, has, he used to say, boss, if this government goes,
it will be worse.
Forget Hindus. Muslims like me won't be able to stay in Bangladesh. And it so happened, like, you know, he had to escape Bangladesh. He's put up a post today saying that I'm doing a book signing at Bahari Sons in Khan Market. I wish I could have done it in Dhaka. But inshallah, someday I'll be able to. Yeah. So it's an unfinished business in that sense.
Secularism didn't quite ever take root in Bangladesh.
Yes.
And why do you think that is? Is it because the society is not really accepting of secularism?
Parts of it is, you know, I'm from Calcutta. Okay, so and Calcutta celebrates Dhaka.
Yeah.
Like Dhaka, and also sometimes Dhaka celebrates Calcutta, not always. So you have this, and it's still going on. You have these artists and, you know, sort of singers and songwriters and filmmakers who are always going to Dhaka, and Dhaka, Bangladeshi actresses and actors coming to Kolkata, and they're all being celebrated. But they only, you know, these sets of people, they only go to Dhaka and some 5 spots in Dhaka where there are nice cafes and everybody is very modern, very liberal. But I have actually ventured out into the bowels of Bangladesh, you know, into interiors, into the far-flung areas near the border. I've gone and stayed. And it's not as if they're horrible spaces. No, there are villages where Durga Puja is held, and, you know, even Muslims go and watch Durga Puja taking place. But in the next village, year after year, without fail, there might be an attack on a pandal, you know. Idols would be found broken. You have seen those pictures on X. Now, past one year, they have really gone up. But what you asked, that, you know, there was never a time, I think, in the history of Bangladesh, which also explains why Hindus keep coming to Kolkata and other places in India from Bangladesh. The population of Hindus in Bangladesh have come down so much over a period of time. It was never very comfortable. So why was it not comfortable? Because there was not really, you know, secularism didn't really take shape the way it should have, the way it was promised in 1971.
At the time when these protests were happening, they were labeled as students' protests. Now we know they were far from it, isn't it? I think that debate is settled, that there is no ambiguity to the fact that these weren't some spontaneous students' protests. Because, you know, you have also talked about this, that several policemen were killed. They were stripped and hung from bridges. That's not the anatomy of a student's
Where did you
protest.
see this? Did you saw violent protests in Nepal? Did you see that? I mean, for God's sake, a former prime minister's wife was killed, was burned to death. Horrific thing to have happened. But did you see not just one or two, policemen after policemen being lynched, stripped and hung from bridges? I mean, this is a very specific kind of messaging that you are putting out.
What is that message?
That it's an Islamist attack. You know, that you know, we are going to be the sole custodians of law and order in this country. So, you know, there were snipers who specifically shot at children. And I think Sheikh Hasina has also said that, do you think I'm mad that I'll ask my police to shoot children? So, while her administration did come down heavily on protesters, there were infiltration at that time by elements which have not been explained till now. Jamaat was hugely present in the protests.
From leading industries to building empires, only one titan will emerge as the invincible icon. And the nominations in business are Falguni Nayar, Albinder Densa, Rajesh Jejurikar, Roshni Nadar Malhotra, Baba Kalyani. Who will be the business person of the year? RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents CNN News 18 Indian of the Year 2025. Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies. Wardrobe Partner, Reed & Taylor, Bond with the Best. In association with HDFC Sky, Make Money Matter, Explore More, Express More. And Polycab, India's safe, happy connection. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, as the probe into the Delhi blast, we're shifting our focus now, as this probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger, more sinister terror conspiracy following 2 major arrests in the past 48 hours. Investigations now reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani,
who also is known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and a key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator, also accused of providing technical support. This includes the drone modification for a Hamas-style attack and attempts to build rocket-based bombs. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al Falah University, in a money laundering case as well. As you know, when it comes to the Al Falah University, when it comes to its records, its accreditation, its finances, there is a lot to unpack. There a lot remains unanswered when it comes to that as well. The arrest follows evidence which was gathered during the recent searches at locations connected to this entire terror module. Now, CNN has also accessed order which is sending the Al Falah owners to 13 days ED custody, as I just told you. The founder of the Al Falah University is in custody. Saket Court says his custodial interrogation is imperative to unearth the larger terror ecosystem, the Al Falah ecosystem. Saket Court also noted that the ED submission that only a small part of Al Falah ecosystem has been identified till now. And they've also said that his family members are in the Gulf and he might flee the country as well. So that is a threat that remains. However, the owner has been sent into 13 days custody and that remains imperative. He is a very, very crucial link here. As you know, Al Falah was truly at the center of all the terror that was emerging from this university, and we're yet to uncover what was really going on behind the scenes. For more on this, we have with us Ananya. Thank you so much for joining us, Ananya. We really are learning more and more about this Al Falah University. It only goes to show how far and wide this entire network had spread.
Well, absolutely. In fact, this is a big breakthrough that the Enforcement Directorate had as far as the funding of the Al Falah University is concerned. And the Al Falah Trust owner was actually taken into custody by the Enforcement Directorate yesterday. And a 13-day police custody remand was granted after he was produced late last night before, in fact, the additional sessions judge at the Saket Court. And very important to highlight is that the court has noticed that not only his family members are in the Gulf, but there is a big risk that he might flee the country. And that's the reason why custodial interrogation is necessary. Not only that, a small chunk, the Enforcement Directorate says and tells the court that a small chunk of the Al Falah ecosystem, which amounts to over 415 crores, is something, that has been uncovered, and it could be much larger in nature, and that is why his custodial interrogation is necessary, since he's somebody who knows about all the financial roots of the Al Falah Trust and the kind of funding that comes through the Al Falah University. And that's the reason why, in fact, this particular person needs to be in the custody of the Enforcement Directorate. 13 days of police custody remand is what has been granted. 14 days was actually sought. And that is something, that makes it very, very imperative as to what was this university actually in reality. Was it, in fact, a terror funding ecosystem? Was it, a university that was fueling terror, or whether there are much more than what meets the eye, something that could be uncovered by this multi-agency probe that is being carried out by, in fact, the Enforcement Directorate, the National Investigation Agency, and obviously the Faridabad and the Delhi police itself.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Now, as the probe into the Delhi blast, we're shifting our focus now, as this probe into the Delhi blast deepens, the NIA has uncovered a larger, more sinister terror conspiracy following two major arrests in the past 48 hours. Investigations now reveal that the group was modifying drones to develop rocket-based explosives for a Hamas-style attack in the national capital. A key breakthrough came with the arrest of Jasir Bilal Wani, who also is known as Danish, a Jammu and Kashmir resident and a key aide of Umar Nabi. He has been named an active co-conspirator, also accused of providing technical support. This includes the drone modification for a Hamas-style attack and attempts to build rocket-based bombs. Meanwhile, the Enforcement Directorate has arrested Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, who is the founder of Al Falah University, in a money laundering case as well. As you know, when it comes to the Al Falah University, when it comes to its records, its accreditation, its finances, there is a lot to unpack. A lot remains unanswered when it comes to that as well. The arrest follows evidence which was gathered during the recent searches at locations connected to this entire terror module. Now, CNN has also accessed order which is sending the Al Falah owners to 13 days ED custody, as I just told you. The founder of the Al Falah University is in custody. Saket Court says his custodial interrogation is imperative to unearth the larger terror ecosystem, the Al Falah ecosystem. Saket Court also noted that the ED submission that only a small part of Al Falah ecosystem has been identified till now. And they've also said that his family members are in the Gulf and he might flee the country as well. So that is a threat that remains. However, the owner has been sent into 13 days custody and that remains imperative. He is a very, very crucial link here. As you know, Al Falah was truly at the center of all the terror that was emerging from this university, and we're yet to uncover what was really going on behind the scenes. For more on this, we have with us Ananya. Thank you so much for joining us, Ananya. We really are learning more and more about this Al Falah University. It only goes to show how far and wide this entire network had spread.
Well, absolutely. In fact, this is a big breakthrough that the Enforcement Directorate had as far as the funding of the Al Falah University is concerned, and the Al Falah Trust owner